Okay, so we've got the photos now in Lightroom, and we're looking at the photos that I took during the flash session, and you can see we've got the effect there. You can see the creases in the background, and we're going to look at editing that a bit later. But basically when I'm in Lightroom, all I do is I do the very basic raw editing. So with this shot, I don't think we've blown anywhere except maybe that ring there. Let's just have a look. So I'm looking at the histogram at the top right. I'm just going to click there, yeah, and we see that's the only place it's clipping is just a little bit on that ring, which is absolutely nothing really. So I'm going to bring the highlights down. I'm looking at this area of the face. I want to get that nice. I want a dark looking picture, so it hasn't got to be overly bright. And although it looks like all the information is to the left, it is, but this line there is the highlights of the face there. If you see, if I take the whites up, it will start clipping at this point. So this thin white line is important. We need to take that into consideration. So I'm just taking the highlights down. It's looking okay now, and I'll bring the shadows up a little bit, so I'll bring a little bit of detail into this area. Again, I'm checking the histogram. I'm not bothered that the blacks are clipping, because they're only actually clipping. You can see this blue in this bottom left hand corner, and that should be black, so I'm fine with that. So what I'm actually doing with this, I've actually done a finished image on this, and I'll be actually taking these creases out of the background, but you won't see a lot of the background when I've finished, because what I end up with is this image. So I'll actually put another background in there, but the texture is important. You can actually see the colour of the texture coming into this image, because the background image that I've used is not solid, it's not opaque, it's slightly transparent, so we can see this effect of this background coming through. Also a similar one, I've got one here, and I've used it again and edited it in Photoshop, and obviously it looks a lot different there, but again you can see that texture actually coming through into the image. So I love this texture for that reason. It's a bit like clouds, it's got a bit like of a sky, and once we change it to black and white, it really works nicely. So just those colours. Now, although I said I was going to use a 50mm, I didn't use the 50mm simply because I wanted, thinking about it after, I wanted a bit more area around the head. So I switched to a 40mm lens. And again, that's a cheap lens, the Canon one. It's less than £200 I think, or around the £200 mark, and it's a pancake lens, great for street photography and that type of work. And portraits, it's very, very sharp. And I shot that at 160 ISO, 40mm lens at f2.8, and so it's wide open for that lens. It's a 2.8 lens, and 125 of the second, which we originally said we was going to use. That's a nice standard for most flashes. So in some cases I would use high sync, but that's not available on all flashes. High sync would give me really fast speeds and freeze the action and use much less lighting and get different effects. So high speed sync is nice if you've got it, but it's not a necessity. We didn't use it in this case. Okay, so let's have a look on this. So we've took the highlights down, we've got the shadows up, we're looking okay now. Just check everything's nice and sharp. Is there anything I want to take out before I go in? Well, I might just use a spot removal tool and just take this off the hat there, and anything else that's blatantly standing out. Now, this is not the type of shot where I'm going to touch the skin up much, because the grittier it is, the better. So all my little scars on the face there can remain. There's a little bit on the finger there. Just take that off. Okay, that's fine. That's all I'm going to do with that. Looking okay, got some detail in the shadow, it's nice and sharp. So that's all I do basically in Lightroom. I don't use anything else for the majority of my work. So I'm going to right click on this, edit in Photoshop, and all the rest will be done in Photoshop. And what I'm just basically going to show you is how I removed the creases out of the image on the background there. I use various techniques for that. I actually usually use something called FS2, but I'm not going to go into that in this, so I'll just show you the quick, easy way to get rid of the creases. So just wait for this to load up. Okay, there we go. So what we use to get rid of the creases, first of all, I'm going to duplicate the layer. So I'll go to my layers, I'll right click and duplicate the layer. So once I've duplicated the layer, I'll then use the patch tool. So the patch tool is great for this type of work. And all I'm going to do is just go over areas, draw around it. Now we make sure that when we do that, we've got source selected, not destination. So I've gone around the area I want to remove. The patch is normal, and diffusion is set at 5 on this. So all I'm going to do now is just drag this to a location where there's no creases, like that. Let go, and then we just keep doing that. We go over the image. Just removing a little bit at a time. Be careful when you're working close to like the hat there. Don't get too close because it will pick up the edge of the hat. So I'm dragging always to a nice clean part of the image, just not trying to do too much. And basically what this does is it doesn't move the colours around too much, it just uses the texture and blends in the surrounding colours. I'm not bothered if there's a little bit of texture still left in there, little few creases, it's not going to hurt the finished result. Basically we just, once you get used to this, you can do it really quick. There we go. So that is the part of the image seen to. Shall I show you any more? Well, we could. Okay, so let's go to File, Open. I've got a picture here. It's a really old one. It's really small in size as well. It's really low quality. A very old one of a cathedral close by to us called Lichfield Cathedral. I'll just click on the Move tool. I'm going to drag this onto my other image. Just say yes to that. All I'm going to do with this is resize it so that it covers the entire picture. I'll probably crop a little bit off the top, so I'm going to just rotate this slightly now and just leveling up a little bit. Press the enter key. That will transform. Just wait for that to transform. It's quite a big image this. It's a 30 megapixel file from a Canon EOS R. There we go. Plus I'm running the video, which slows it down even more. And then we change the layer mode. Let's just have a look. We'll have a look through the different settings. I'll go for multiply, so we can see through that now. And then I add a mask, so I'll click on to add a mask to that, add layer mask, and basically white gives us the opaque, and black makes it transparent. So what I'm going to do, and this is really easy, this is the easy way. We don't need anything really special on this. We're just going to get a black brush. I'm going to use a hard brush actually, just get quite a hard brush there. I'm going to resize the brush. I'm going to paint with black. Not being too careful. There we go, that should be okay. Obviously you can take more time if you was doing this, but that's looking okay to me, especially when we alter things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my layer with the actual model on. Very good looking model. I'm going to right click and duplicate the layer. I'm going to change the layer mode to multiply and make that darker. Now I'm just going to bring down the opacity. It gives us much more mood. I'm going to leave it there for now, and then I'll make sure that I click on the top layer. At the bottom of the layers palette, you will see this create new fill or adjustment layer. I'm going to click on that and select solid colour. Now we can either pick white by dragging it to the corner, or black, it doesn't matter which, but it must be black or pure white. Click on OK. And then we change the mode of the layer, where it says normal, we change that to colour. What that does is give you a really natural looking black and white image. I'm not going to go into that too much, but it's certainly my preferred method of creating a black and white image. It gives the proper luminance of the image. If you convert to black and white, it uses a lot of chemistry to actually convert all the colours. This is just like simply putting a pair of Polaroid glasses over the picture. All the ambient light is exactly the same. It doesn't change the brightness of the image or the darkness of the image and the shadows in any shape or form. So it's a nice natural way to actually do that. Now when I've done that, I'm going to go to this layer. Okay, so now we go back to this background copy, and we sort of multiplied that. So I'm going to merge that down. So right click, merge down. So we've got that now on the one image. I'm going to click on this layer and duplicate this layer. Click on OK. I'm going to hide the one underneath it. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to blur it. So I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur. Wait for that to come up. I'm not going to blur it just a little bit. Okay. And then I'll click back on this layer and just take that layer down slightly. And that is why it's important that we've got the background on here, because the background is coming into effect. You can see the background over the top there, and it's actually coming through the image and just affecting it, making it look more natural. Okay, so I'm just going to crop this now. Crop that top piece off. So I've just got a bit of a halo around the top of that, so we're just going to come back with the white and just edge along this slightly, and then go to the one underneath, do the same. Just to get rid of that halo. That's looking better. Okay, so there we go. Just going to darken that out a little bit. Now I'm going to change the opacity on this. I just want to make it quite light. Don't need that one at all. I don't think I'm going to take that one off and just play with this one. And just give it. And now you can see why that texture is important at the back. It's really coming through and just adding something to the picture. Okay, so there we are. We have the completed image. What we need to do now is flatten the layers. And there's the completed project.